Janitor hears strange noises coming from outside before uncovering box with a sad message. On a quiet December night in Detroit, someone carrying a cardboard box crunched down the sidewalk in the snow. The box was heavy, and the stranger hurried towards the big building up ahead, the nearest school, which was surely locked by this time of night. When they got to the front stoop, they placed the box down before disappearing back into the snow. An ordinary school in the middle of the night was a strange place to drop the package, given its contents, but that's exactly what happened in Michigan. There, the box sat for who knows how long, until a good Samaritan mustered up enough courage to investigate something strange. A soft cry echoing through the usually silent hallways. By the time 6 p.m. rolled around, the school's hallways were silent. The janitor knew this silence well, and he was used to mopping the floors with only his thoughts to keep him company. But one night in December, everything changed. The janitor heard it as he was finishing up his nightly rounds of the halls, a soft whimpering noise. He froze. Like every night, he assumed he was the only person left in the entire school. So what was whimpering around the corner? There was only one way to find out. The janitor rounded the corner and saw nothing. But then he heard it again, the sound of something crying, and this time he was determined to find out where it was coming from. He was led to the front of the school, and he could tell the whimpering was coming from outside the front door. The janitor threw them open, and when he saw what was out there, all of his fear melted away. Sitting on the stoop was a box, and when the janitor looked inside, he was greeted by the big brown eyes of a puppy. The janitor looked around for whoever left the box, but all he saw were street lamps and snow. That's when he knew this puppy was abandoned, and in the middle of a frigid Michigan winter. He quickly picked it up and carried it to the warmth of the school, which is when he noticed that the puppy wasn't alone. Whoever found the puppy had tried their best to keep it safe and warm by leaving it with a blanket, food, and holes for breathing, and they also left a heartbreaking message for whoever found the sweet pup. "Sorry it didn't have a home and it was cold, so I'm going to give it to you," the note read. "Please find it a nice home." The janitor knew he had to do right by the note, so he pulled out his phone. There was a teacher at the school who was famous for her love of dogs, and the janitor just happened to have her number. As soon as she heard the dog story, she hurried right over to the school to see it for herself. She immediately fell in love, but there was a problem. There was no room left at her house. She already had 5 dogs running around her home. So as much as she adored the abandoned puppy, she just couldn't take it in. Thankfully though, the Detroit Pit Crew Dog Rescue took one look at the little pup and, like everyone else, quickly fell for its big eyes and adorable nose. But there was a problem. They just wouldn't be able to take it in. That is, not without a name. Everyone had been so concerned with finding the pup a home that they hadn't even thought of naming it. But it couldn't be nameless forever, and the teacher had the perfect name in mind. The teacher named her Snowflake, fitting considering how the pup had survived weeks of the cold Michigan winter. And once the dog rescue team was able to take her in, the teacher hoped she'd be safe. As it turns out, the teacher had nothing to worry about. The Detroit Pit Crew Dog Rescue made it their mission to give stray dogs a safe home. So they seemed to be the ideal place for Snowflake to warm up. Snowflake's situation was not uncommon. The organization rescues abandoned dogs all year round, but the winter is the most dangerous time for these poor pups. With the icy streets and freezing temperatures, there's no telling what could happen. Snowflake at least was safe and sound, and ready for a makeover. Once she was fed and cleaned up, Snowflake started to perk up. As she returned to her sweet self, the rescue team knew they needed to get their cameras. The rescue team posted photos of Snowflake on social media with the hope that someone out there would adopt her. The end goal was to find her a forever home, but until then the rescue team had plans for Snowflake. Since the holidays were near, they dressed her in an adorable green Christmas sweater and gave her a Santa Claus toy to pal around with. She also posed in front of a Christmas tree. Imagine finding her under your tree on Christmas morning. She was also able to make tons of new friends at the Detroit Pit Crew Dog Rescue, from the kind-hearted rescue volunteers to the other dogs at the foster home. Still, the reality of the situation was hard to forget. You'd think a sweet pup like Snowflake would be adopted in a heartbeat, but she actually endured a heartbreaking disappointment just before Christmas, when a potential owner ended up adopting a different dog instead. It seemed like she'd be spending Christmas alone. Until the very next day, when Snowflake was adopted. The adorable little puppy had definitely come a long way from that snowy night on the school steps. And it's thanks to kind Samaritans and rescue organizations that she's finally home for good.